Please be seated. Proceedings are resumed.
Statements by the honorable members and ministers of the cabinet.
None.
Personal explanations.
None.
Obituaries and other ceremonial speeches.
None.
Rising on matter of privileges.
None.
Government business. Bills. Second reading. The appropriation, July 2016 to December 2017, Bill 2016, continuation of debate.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the honorable member from the District of Northside.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the throne speech delivered by Her Excellency, Mistress Helen Kilpatrick, CB, on Monday, May the 30th, was the 16th speech that I have been privileged by the wonderful people of Northside to witness. Madam Speaker, there was a time when the whole country looked forward to the speech from the throne. Indeed, Madam Speaker, at one time, this Legislative Assembly had its official opening and a special meeting to hear and debate the throne speech. The budget was done in a separate meeting. In those days, the throne speech laid out government's plans for the coming year in some detail. In recent years, Madam Speaker, successive governments have combined the budget meeting with the throne speech for the two to be debated together, with the benefit of government that each receives less robust debate and scrutiny. Because at the very least, Madam Speaker, under the old system, we had 2 hours for each one. Even more opportunity for robust debate and scrutiny. Madam Speaker, I was the one who was responsible for the motion to limit speeches while I was here some time ago. I recommended 1 hour at the time, and I was totally browbeaten by those because, and what spurred that motion, Madam Speaker, was the fact that one member on the opposition bench had spoken on the budget for 4 days. And after the second day, it was impossible to remember whether they were actually repeating themselves or not. But the point being, Madam Speaker, that now that it is combined, and then we now have the introduction of what's known as the policy statement, the budget policy statement by the Premier. So we have to deliver we have to debate 3 speeches, so to speak. Not sure why it's called a statement, because under the standing orders, if a minister or the Premier makes a statement, it can't be debated. You can only ask a few short questions. But it is assumed that that is the government plans, which would normally be in the throne speech. And Madam Speaker, I think it is unfortunate that the throne speech has been diminished, relegated to such a substanceless speech as we've had in the last 2-3 years, particularly this year. And that's clearly evidenced by the throne speech being 8 pages and the policy statement by the Premier being 48 pages. And the Financial Secretary's budget address being some Minister of Finance, 28 pages. Madam Speaker, the throne speech delivered on Monday, May the 30th, which I am expected to debate, is so short in length and substance, relevance, policy, guidance, and plans that it can only be described as pathetic. It must be embarrassing to her as governor to be asked to deliver a throne speech so short on policy and substance by the elected cabinet. But anyway, Madam Speaker, I'll try to find a few statements that the governor made on which to comment. I guess there's some significance in hers being white and the other two being red. Maybe this is a clear sign of surrender to the forces that exist. But Madam Speaker, on page 2 of the governor's address, the governor says, and I quote, "The government has worked hard to achieve the goals it set at the beginning of this term to strengthen the economy, improve government finances, and enhance the lives of those who live in the islands." Now, Madam Speaker, let's look a little bit at those 3 goals as the governor terms them. Strengthen the economy. Tick. Done. In a modest way. But how? By giving away badly needed revenue through concessions to inward investors to do developments on which they plan to make huge profits. Giving away money that is needed to fund education, both to build badly needed new schools, expand present schools, pay teachers better wages, fund school supplies needed to educate our children and prepare them for the job market, money needed to fund health care, money needed to provide assistance to our senior citizens, money needed to improve infrastructure that these very developers and developments will stress and stretch to the inconvenience of average Caymanians. Improve government finances. Tick. Done. How, Madam Speaker? Through the control of expenses rather than increasing revenue, which I support, Madam Speaker. The belts needed to be tightened on expenses. And I commend the government and the Minister of Finance for the necessary controls he has put in place. But in my view, Madam Speaker, too little has been done to eliminate waste and inefficiencies. And I believe that much more can be done in these areas. But, Madam Speaker, by restoring government finances, too much emphasis was placed on the denial or reduction of services by not allowing staff where need could clearly be demonstrated based on poor results, both in benefits, services received, and access denied or long awaiting lines. Madam Speaker, one has to go no further than the seamen's benefits, the people who built the country that we enjoy today, who sacrificed much on the high seas to lay the foundation of infrastructure, housing, and social harmony that existed in these islands, which we could market as the next generation to develop the financial industry and the tourism industry. What's happening? People who genuinely need, seamen who genuinely qualify, are being denied the services because the government has no money. And on the other hand, we have some people getting the benefits who neither need it, deserve it, or earned it. We only need to drive across the needs assessment unit. I am going to table a report in this meeting by the Auditor General on the needs assessment unit. I urge members to read the findings and the minutes, the evidence given by the chief officer, by the director of children and family services, by the director of the needs assessment units, of how they are denied staff that they need, of how they are denied funding that they need because of the controls and expenditure, while at the same time we are giving away millions and millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in fees that inward investors should be paying. The third goal that the governor says the government had was enhance the lives of those who live on these islands. Okay. Done. Yes. But for the already wealthy and for non-Caymanians on work permits to remain permanently and qualify for Caymanian status. The average Caymanian, that is the middle class and lower, are having a tough time in Cayman. Lack of job opportunities, lack of promotion in jobs, because their employers are taking the easier route and getting work permits. And the government is enjoying the revenue. Projected revenue for the present budget, 99 million. This budget is an 18-month budget, I agree. But it's still 99 billion. And I will comment on the lack of policies to address that later on, Madam Speaker. Yet Caymanians who can't get promoted, and Madam Speaker, when I talk about Caymanians, I'm talking about qualified Caymanians. I'm not talking about people who don't have no education, don't have no experience. I'm talking about Caymanians who are both academically qualified and experienced in the current workplace that are being passed over by their employers for people on work permits. And the Caymanian has to train the person they're bringing in, because they're bringing them from places like the Northern Territories of Canada. Now, how to think about mutual fund. Yes, they're qualified accountants, but they do shops and stores and Walmarts and utilities and stuff like that. Nothing about the financial industry. But the Caymanian experience that the Caymanian has is negated, has no value. All the while, Madam Speaker, Caymanians are faced with increased cost of living. I will give the government the necessary kudos for removing the duty on diesel for CUC to reduce the electricity bill. But that's not reflected in the cost of a gallon of milk or a pound of sugar. Because, Madam Speaker, I swear that every week I go to the supermarket, the price has gone up. It seems like they put a price today on it of $1.50. If it sells, they figure, well, we can get $1.75. So we put that on for the next week. If it sells at $1.75, then maybe we can get $2. It's not related to cost and a reasonable profit. It's related to what they perceive the market can bear. Because, Madam Speaker, some of the prices that are charged cannot be reasonably justified given cost, insurance, and freight, and cost of operation locally, and a reasonable profit. Madam Speaker, the hard, cold facts are that most Caymanians, average working Caymanians, not those who own the law firms and the accounting firms and the corporations and at the top of the strata. The average working Caymanian, they are worse off today than they were in 2013. Or in 2009, or in 2000. All of us are deeper in debt. We have less savings. We're living paycheck to paycheck. Very few working Caymanians today have any disposable income at the end of the month after paying the bills to which they can hope to have some savings. We have, in our community, reduced hope. Even so, you talk to the professional Caymanians now, there's even a reduced expectation. There's an admission, there's an acceptance that I can't get a better job than what I have in my country, no care how hard I work, because the government needs the revenue from work permits. And therefore, they're glad to issue the work permits. There's less educational and work opportunities for our children. And Madam Speaker, we have to find a way to restore the hope of Caymanians. We have to find a way to restore the expectation. And I don't want to hear nothing about entitlement, because they are entitled to it. This is their country. That if they work hard, if they get an education, they will have an opportunity to get better jobs in their country. And I don't know who the government or the governor is talking to, but I know the people I represent and the professionals that I talk to, as recent as yesterday evening, are expressing countless frustrations in the workplace. They see people come in who they have to teach, and 6 months later, they get the promotion to manager over them. Madam Speaker, I've said it in these chambers before. If we don't address this, revolutions in countries are not caused by poor people and uneducated people. they are the ones that are used and usually abused in the process. It is the educated people in the country who have lost hope and expectation that are going to cause the problems in this country. And we have a responsibility. We have a moral and ethical requirement to do something about this. And it is not reflected in this budget or the Premier's address or the throne speech. If it's there, I can't find it. Now, Madam Speaker, it troubles me that the governor on page 3 makes this statement. Importantly, because of the growing economy, employment, particularly of Caymanians, has improved significantly. The last year has seen the best employment figures since 2007. Madam Speaker, the question I want to ask all of us: why are we so comfortable comparing our results to the worst year and claiming success? All the tourism figures are increases over 2008, 2007, the worst year. All employment figures are over that. What about the heyday when we had 100% employment in Cayman and greater than? But we look for these little nuances, believe it makes us look good and that we are successful at what we're doing. We need, Madam Speaker, as a government, to be comparing our success and our failures to the best we have had and endeavoring to exceed it. Not to take great comfort in the fact that we are better marginally than the worst year we ever had. Because, Madam Speaker, as you know, I don't partake of the cocktail party circuit. So I don't know whether the people that goes Government House, the Caymanians, however few they may be, that go Government House for these cocktail parties, is telling her that employment, particularly of Caymanians, has improved significantly. And I will deal a little more with that later on, but I believe if my memory serves me correctly, the latest statistic report indicates something like 30% of postgraduate qualified Caymanians unemployed. How can that be a good thing? People who have master's and doctorate degree. Right? Madam Speaker, some of us can remember, not too long ago, when every Caymanian who wanted to work had a job. Every able-bodied Cayman was making a good income and disposable income at payday, after payday. People not so long ago, people in my constituency were making $15, $20 as skilled carpenters and skilled masons. Being able to afford to educate their children, being able to pay their mortgage on a decent house, being able to own a good car, being able to own a good truck, being able to own tools for the trade. Today, you can pick up the compass today, and there are ads in there for construction workers. Qualified mason, 10 years experience, $7 an hour. get lucky, it might be 10. Now, Madam Speaker, something is wrong with this equation. When I graduated from high school in 1969, I had classmates who went to work at Holiday Inn as a waitress or a bartender, making $8 and $10 CI per hour. Whether they were waitresses, the ladies that would clean the rooms made a little bit less. But they also made a good wage. If you gave the bartender $1 tip, he put it in his pocket, it was his. He earned it. He didn't have to share it with management. And management couldn't thief nothing from him. Because you handed it to him, he put it in his pocket, it was his. Madam Speaker, a beer, if I recall it at Holiday Inn, was $1. A mixed drink was $1.50. Today, anywhere along 7 Mile Beach, beer is $6, $8 up. Mixed drink, lower shelf is $10 plus. Top shelf is $12, $15. And you see ads in the paper for $4 now that we put in a minimum wage. Well, they're still $4 an hour because they can make up the rest with a gratuity, no? A certain percentage. How is that possible in my country? And all of these developers, all of these inward investors got millions and millions of dollars in concessions. They neither pay income tax, they neither pay capital gains tax, they neither pay land tax or property tax. But they're charging $10 for the drink, paying the poor waitress from somewhere else. The Caymanians can't get the job because the Caymanians need to be qualified by university degree to be a waitress here now, you know. But they bring them from Timbuktu, have no qualifications, no experience, walk straight into the job. Their friend get the job from? Only the Caymanians are required. The government answer to that is to start an entry-level hotel training school to put people on entry level. What's an entry level position? The bartender who invented a mudslide that these people are now taking out of the machine can't get a job as a bartender in Cayman for the last 3-4 years because he don't have a piece of paper saying he's a certified bartender. But I stand up at the licensing thing and hear a new arrival tell the man inspecting his bicycle, his motorbike, when he said to him, you know, not a good idea to ride these kind of cycles around Cayman. They're dangerous. Why? He said, I work about that, man. I soon have a car. He said, well, where you working? I'm working at the Ritz. Yeah. Where you working? A bartender. Oh, he said, you must got a lot of qualifications and experience as a bartender. Me, sir? Never worked in a bar in my life. My friend called me in California and told me they got some openings down there for bartenders. He put in the form for when I get the job. And Madam Speaker, I have confirmed this to FOI immigration. I have FOI the qualifications of waitresses and bartenders in these hotels over a period of time. And I think out of over 100 positions that they gave me, there was only 3 people that had any qualifications or experience at it. But the Caymanian walk in the door, he's treated like a criminal. He's got to have all of these things and all of these requisites. Madam Speaker, I don't know the solution to the problem. It's above my pay scale. But we have to find a way to address the feelings amongst Caymanians today that they can no longer be a part of the Cayman dream. And we need to do it urgently because the consequences are not that good. Madam Speaker, on page 5, the governor speaks to Project Future, and I quote, "The Deputy Governor is leading on the professionalization and effectiveness of the civil service. The first item from the Project Future program the Cabinet has approved is the creation of the Office of Ombudsman. This will combine the functions of the Complaints and Information Commissions as well as the new Police Complaints Commission. This should be in place by the end of this calendar year. Other projects are in development that the government will speak to these in due course." Madam Speaker, you all know that I oppose the creation of this super ombudsman and the combining of these offices. It is a retrograde step. And I am embarrassed for the PPM government, who was the ones that brought us the legislation in the first place, for them to now be cajoled, whether it's by the civil service or by the E&Y report, that this is a good idea. It is not possible, Madam Speaker, for these functions to be as the civil servant, who I hear on the radio promoting it, that they can wear more than one hat. And one person can, for this half hour, be Information Commissioner. For the next half hour, he can be Complaints Commissioner. For the next half hour, he can be Police Complaints Commissioner. Madam Speaker, maybe it's just my paranoia, but I'm a little suspicious that the problem here is that people have access to information that they don't want them to get. Madam Speaker, I am struggling to try and convince myself that this reduction in the importance of the Complaints Commissioner and of the Freedom of Information Commissioner. I can't say that about the Police Commissioner, because that was never set up, although it had been in the book from 2010. There's no need for that. Has nothing to do with the fight from the governor's office and the commissioner, Freedom of Commissioner, over tempura, or the problems created by the Complaints Commissioner on the whistleblowing legislation. But it just seems to me a little convenient that in that environment, the first thing for Project Future is a demotion in the importance of those two offices. I have asked the question, how are they going to deal with the constitutional provision, which in my view certainly envisages them being totally independent offices from everybody? I'm told that the legal advice is that as long as they have a different person, it can be done under one body. Madam Speaker, I maintain that it is a backward step. And the financial savings that they claim they're going to get cannot, in my books, justify combining the offices. The reduction in independent functionality that this is going to create far outweighs any financial gain we could get by combining them. Madam Speaker, I see that the public authority bill is still being promised. I recall that same thing happening down there many, many, many moons ago. And every year, public authority bill is coming. Public authority bill is coming. I will welcome it once it gets here. You have my support, you know that. Was the first one, right? I just don't understand why it's taking so long. And Madam Speaker, talking about that kind of what I call the dance of legislation. The government needs to govern. The government needs to do what is right and stop worrying about the one or two people that are going to get upset because you did the right thing. But now you're unpacking it all, throwing it all away by combining everything. I agree with what you have done. I just don't agree with the move you're making now. I think you should stand your ground, do the right thing, keep these commissions separate and let them function independent of each other for the best possible result. Madam Speaker, the one paragraph where the governor, tried to deal with 6 lines, actually to be specific, deals with education, employment, gender affairs, labor, pensions, social policy for those in need, and improvements to school infrastructure. Clearly demonstrates the lack of importance placed on these social matters by the government. Oh, I get into that because you're short on it too. Contrast that, Madam Speaker, with 7 pages and 7 paragraphs, on the financial industry and the economy. Clearly tells us where the emphasis is. Not denying, Madam Speaker, that in this day and time, there has to be some emphasis placed on preservation of our financial industry. But not at the total expense of all of these social policies. With $860 plus million in revenue, we should be able to address our social concerns more effectively. Madam Speaker, and this is the part that really upsets me, and I'm going to try my best not to be disrespectful. But Madam Speaker, the continued refusal by the governor and the government to accept that crime and policing is of major concerns to Caymanians is insulting. 4.5 lines. And that deals with hiring the police and what he can do when he gets in. All that's in under 4 lines. No reference to the promised succession plan. No acknowledgement of and no reference to motion voted on by every single member in this House to have an independent review of the police. She got asked the incoming commissioner of police to review the operations. She should not ask him to do that. If you're the top dog, I hope he's going to do that as a minimum. No reference to the motion asking for a succession plan for Caymanians to take over in 4 years. Madam Speaker, I have asked, I have begged, I have cajoled, I have even gone and picked up garbage and raked dirt at the police station personally, and had other members of my community do it to try and get police in our side. All we hear is to have no resources. But every time the police or the government come down here and ask us for resources, all of us, I don't know of any occasion, my time here, when any elected representative in this parliament voted against a request for the police for resources. Madam Speaker, crime is a relative thing. As long as it's happening a couple of blocks over, not really serious. Not serious. We can talk around it, but we can live with it. 3 years ago, I said in my contribution to the throne speech in this very house that my concern in my constituency was that the criminals had upped their game. Prior to that, they were only going into unoccupied houses. 3 years ago, they started going into houses with occupants in it. And as a representative of the people who vote money for the police, I must accept 18-hour later responses, which we only got because I intervened. Because when I called, it told me it hadn't happened. Or no response at all. The reduction, the perceived reduction that the police and the governor brags about in my constituency is because people no longer bother to report. Because they get no action when they do. The police are still coming into my constituency, driving in by the police station, turning around in the police yard. Sometimes they go in to what we call Forest Glen, occasionally. Most of the times they don't. Come back out to Chisholm store, turn left, drive to the Cayman, drive around the bathrooms, drive back to Borden Town. Twice a day. People in my community try to stop them. Bear them in mind. Got the windows up. Can't hear them, they clean. 4 years ago, me and the member for East End asked the chief of police at that time, when you cross Frankstown, whether you turn left or you go straight, screw the windows down. Please. Keep the air conditioner on if you want. But screw the windows down. so the people in the community can get your attention. You can hear them. Still don't do it. Spend a lot of time on them cell phones out there when they drive through my district. Last Sunday, I take my farm out in a little small boat down Rumpike in a Sunday that I can find the time. Last Sunday, between the Rumpike Junction that me and the Minister of Planning was just talking about, and when I turn off on Old Robin Road, 17, you heard what I said, man? 17 cars overtake me. I specifically drove the exact speed limit. 30 miles an hour to the entrance of Cayman, 15 miles an hour to Great Tree Point, 30 miles an hour. Every one of them overtake me, doing at least in the 30 mile zone, twice the speed I'm doing. Police? No. When you get into Old Man Bay, children playing in the streets. No concern. Madam Speaker, where is the anti-crime strategy in the throne speech? Where is it in the Premier's, budgets? Get it right. Budget policy statement. Non-existent. What is the National Security Council doing? Is that a creature of the Constitution that meets per chance? Doesn't meet at all? No concern being expressed by the National Security Council on the crime? Unless they put it in newspapers that I don't read. No offer to try and involve the communities to develop some kind of strategy. What are they doing? Meeting in, well, you can't call them smoke-filled rooms anymore because most people don't smoke. Meeting in air-conditioned rooms, sitting in leather seats, sipping champagne and eating biscuits and cheese. Is that what they're supposed to be doing? As I said earlier, where is the succession plan to put Caymanians in charge of the police force? I know they can get up here now and say that they just promoted a Caymanian to deputy. Well deserved. I congratulate the young man. Wouldn't have happened if me and Arden didn't bring that motion. Would not have happened. And Madam Speaker, when the Premier accused me of running the chief police officer, that the chief police, Mr. Beans, left because of my motion, had he whispered that to me 2 years ago, I'd have brought it. If I had known that was going to be the result. And Madam Speaker, I have asked publicly and I'm asking now. I want a copy of the clause in the contract that says if you decide to leave, you get paid for the full contract. I want to see the clause under which the government and the governor paid the man 1 year's salary. In the absence of the clause being published, I can only draw the conclusion that the clause that authorizes it does not exist. And, Madam Speaker, nobody, not a single member in this House, tried to work closer and harder with that chief of police than the member for Northside and the member for East End. But 18 months ago, 2 years, it became painfully obvious that we were just beating our heads against the wall. The man had no intentions of doing anything to help our community. Nor was he getting the support from the government to do it. Because they blame me. Remember for East End. Pay close attention. Because there is written evidence that there's somebody else to blame, not to us. Madam Speaker, can you imagine, in your wildest imagination, can you imagine UK citizens being tolerant that their police force is populated by Pakistanis, Indians, Africans, West Indians, and they dominate all of the top positions in their police force? You think that is a scenario that they would accept? They would kill every pigeon in Nelson Square. Let them die. But we are expected to tolerate. That we are better policed by people other than our own. You can't explain that to me. That is not possible. And Madam Speaker, we have to stop accepting this advice, hook, line, and sinker, that these people come here and hand out to us to preserve jobs for themselves and their friends. Because that's all they're doing. And we're sitting down thinking it's a good thing. The trouble with them is me and you are not bad enough. We are becoming too tolerant ourselves of these situations. Because, Madam Speaker, we just had, in this same scenario, a bright, deserving young Caymanian leave the police force for greener grass. How is that possible? Want to know what attempts were made to meet the young man's expectations, and what attempts, if any, because I'm pretty sure none were made, to keep him in the service and to promote him. Because, Madam Speaker, I work with that young man as person in charge of the Eastern Districts. And I can tell you, he did a good job. The only two we had up there that came close to having any concern about the Eastern Districts were the two Caymanians, you know, him and the other Caymanian who was put in charge. Now when they got up there, now you call him up, he insults you on the phone. He don't even know who he is. He automatically know what the representative on the north side is calling him about, and he's dealt with it. And then, when I react, all of them big boys in government calling me, no, give us a chance, man. We're going to see you apologize to you. Apologize to me? Apologize to me? Apologize to people he's supposed to be policing? But he another one of them that come here, don't care what he do, he rolls uphill. Rolls uphill. He like that when we brought you, that's still here, that I see on the TV that, oh, the man can take off, you know, he can wear one hat, 3 hats. I guess he can even investigate himself. If he happens to be the Compliance Commissioner and the Freedom of Information Commissioner, and the Compliance Commissioner gets a complaint about the Freedom of Information, he can investigate himself. And he'd probably be like, find nothing wrong. Or he might be like, you all will remember this, the Brazilian police who had robbed the jewelry store in town and he found himself guilty. And they're too young. You remember it, Mike? Yeah. He was a good policeman. He found out what him had broke a store and it was true. It was him. Madam Speaker, the governor had thrown speech. Talked about on page 7. Ladies and gentlemen, while the agenda that I have outlined today highlights the plans for the current political administration over the coming year, the civil service, oversight bodies, private sector, and civil society all play important roles in supporting our thriving democracy. Oh, Madam Speaker, what she's saying now? These are the highlights. These are the highlights in this 8 pages. Madam Speaker, what was articulated by the governor here on Monday, the 30th of May? And you know, Madam Speaker, while she was delivering it, I can't say that there is very much in here to congratulate her on. But Madam Speaker, you could feel her pain. You could feel her pain that she was being asked to deliver this as a throne speech to the Cayman Islands people. Because there's nothing in it. If Caymanians are going to put hope on what's in this, leaves a lot to be desired. And Madam Speaker, here is my concern. The plans are, well, she called it an agenda. Plans or agenda, as the governor more appropriately referred to it, is barely incremental actions on failed policies for the average Caymanian. There is no vision. There is no inspiration. There is no boldness and action to be taken by the government to address some of these concerns by Caymanians. There is no comfort, Madam Speaker, that can be drawn from this throne speech for Caymanian parents that their children can hope to share in the Cayman dream, or that they as working adults, if they are lucky to be employed, can plan a hard-on vacation, or plan their retirement, or plan expansions of their homes, or plan education for their children. There are no plans in here in the throne speech to address the work permit system to ensure Caymanians get job opportunities for which they are qualified, both academically and with experience. Only plans for incremental increases in work permits income at the expense of social service support for Caymanians. But that's all we're doing. Madam Speaker, my only hope and my fervent prayer is that, like the governor who plans to leave in October 2017, this will be the last throne speech and budget address by this government, because they will have departed in May 2017. Thus relieving Caymanians of both the regressive governor and the regressive elected government, the PPM. Now, Madam Speaker, oh, you take a finish, and I get to you here. Come in, your share, come in. Now, Madam Speaker, let me turn my comments to the budget and the budget policy statement currently before this House. Madam Speaker, you know, the Premier keeps making inferences that I want to be Premier. Let me again tell him, as I have told him and everybody else, D. Ezard Miller has no ambition, no intention, no desire to be Premier of the Cayman Islands. Don't want it. Because, Madam Speaker, what I would have to do to get that in terms of my principles with this your Georgetown bourgeois, I ain't prepared to do it. Not doing it. I got a Christian mother that I have to honor who taught me these things, and they are not true. I told them that 1986 at a house in South Church Street when they invited me to their dinner to try to demote people outside corn swabble me into their camp. Oh, no, man, we had roast beef. I think it was roast beef. Good, oh, good food, good food. And when they say, well, Ezra, you look like somebody we could work with, but, stop them right there, but, Nate and Mary is an honest boy. You bring something good, as I tell every government, I support it. I tell you it's good. Bring something bad, I tell you what's bad about it, and I tell you how we can fix it, that I will support it. But there ain't no but that you can control me. Forget that, and I knew when I made that statement that ain't a chance, any ambition I would have, that wasn't going to happen, so I don't worry about that. But, Madam Speaker, let me also tell the Premier, I have a burning desire, I have a strong intention to sit in this seat to represent North Side for another term. So, them candidates that they got up there, running around telling people, is there any running? I cleared that up a little while later, you recollect. They would like to get rid of me out this little southeast corner. Now, Madam Speaker, unlike the Governor, the Premier and the Minister of Finance cannot be accused of being short on content. Both are very detailed and long. Premier, 48 pages. The Minister of Finance, 28 pages, respectively. And overloaded with self-praise and congratulations. The Premier, in his opening remarks, quoted Winston Churchill. Let me quote him here. And Madam Speaker, this is what he said. The truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is. Good quote. Good quote. Madam Speaker, today's compass, in the horoscope section of all places. No. And under my horoscope, Cancer, says, secrets might come out today. If so, do not be quick to believe them. As Churchill once said, there are lots of lies going around and some of them are true. Very appropriate. And now very often I quote a thing out of this rag sheet. But, Madam Speaker, I would also remind the Premier of that old adage. Self-praise is no recommendation, even if it's true. So, Madam Speaker, but let me give credit where credit is due. There can be no denial, Madam Speaker, that the government financial position has steadily improved under the PPM administration. We can't deny that. Both the financial position as to debt and payments, this way called putting it in one pocket, take the other one. You hold on a little bit. No. The strategies laid out by the Minister of Finance, continuous economic growth, that's arguably for the wrong people. Operating surpluses by controlling expenditure, rising cash reserves, declining debt balances, declining debt to GDP ratio, and also a little switch. PMFL says the government revenue. I agree with you, it should be gross domestic product. But that's what the PMFL says. PMFL says government revenue. Declining expenditure to GDP ratio, declining revenue to GDP ratio. All that is good stuff. Madam Speaker, I will also say that the civil service has improved their record keeping. And the Auditor General reports reflected. There has been good, sustained improvements in government accounting for its finances. As chairman of the PSC, I see it firsthand, Madam Speaker. So I say that without fear of successful contradiction. Now, Madam Speaker, they're not going to give me no credit for it, but remember I had to call them down here 4 years ago and threatened to sue them, lock them all up in jail, call them to the bar if they didn't do something, right? But they can have the credit. I am happy it was done because it needed to be done, and it's a good thing. But, Madam Speaker, I also see the Auditor General's report about lack of planning, inability to determine the magnitude of concessions, waste, inefficiencies, and even some disregard for the law that needs as much improvement as the financial record keeping did. And I must say that those who watched the PSC hearings most recently will see clearly that the chief officers are reluctant to accept responsibility for those things. At least the chief officers who came to the PSC. And Madam Speaker, as I said, I give the government of the day full credit and the civil service and the professionals in the civil service for their improvements. But my concern is that while restoring government's finances, we should have found a less punishing way for Caymanians to do it. Because, Madam Speaker, through denial, refusal of services, particularly the senior citizens and the less fortunate, the rebuilding of these finances in that way, in my view, was wrong. We cannot continue to make the rich investor richer by granting concessions to the waiver of fees. Madam Speaker, let me give you a scenario why I say I have great difficulty with that part of how this was done. It is very difficult, Madam Speaker, for me to explain to an elderly lady in my community who has now over 60, who has worked all her life, never asked government for one thing.
Member, you have 52 minutes remaining. Is this a convenient time for the luncheon break once you finish this thought?
Yes, ma'am. Just let me finish this one. I tell her she goes to government and applies for relief, $550 a month. She's told, if she can get through the quagmire of access, but she's told, we don't have any money, we can't help you. She can't get a job because she's over 60. Employers won't hire her because it's going to affect their health insurance costs. Right? So she can't continue to work. And she points to a newspaper on a dining room table that says we're giving a developer millions of dollars in concessions to build a hotel. And she says to me, but Ezra, is this why the government don't have any money? I have to say yes. So here we are, Caymanian who has worked for 40 plus years in the tourism industry, can't get health insurance, can't get $550 a month. Those who are on it can't get no increase. But they know that we as a government are giving millions of dollars to investors who intend to make millions of dollars in profits every year. And we're already, those developers in the Cayman Islands are not paying no income tax, no land tax, no property tax, no capital gain tax, and they're making millions of dollars on their investment. Madam Speaker, those are the things that tear your heart out in this country. The sad part about it is, as a representative, there ain't nothing I can do about it, except do what I've always done. Take money out of my own pocket and give them. Madam Speaker, the most glaring omission from this budget and the Premier's budget address is anything to do about what we are going to provide for our senior citizens in this country. I know they'll tell me, oh, but you know, the children and family law say that we can arrest the children and force them to pay. The children don't have nothing to pay. In this economy, they live in paycheck to paycheck. They rob and Peter to pay Paul every month. They pay the electricity bill, they can't pay the telephone bill. They pay all to them, they can't pay the water bill. And there's nothing that I can go to that lady in all these speeches down here on Monday and give her any comfort. That's troubling, Madam Speaker. They can take the break now, Madam Speaker.
We'll take the luncheon break and reconvene at 2:15 p.m.